lanes right here. And it's that orientation shift and widening and abandonment of the geometry that's set by those bleachers that allows you to do that.
And plus, Bill, because we on the left-hand side, it does open it up enough to get that wide room.
I think it will. I think it will.
Could you explain the difference between bidding on 30M as opposed to 3039?
It's 3039M covers public works. It's all under Chapter 149, but it's certainly not a building-related project unless we did the toilet building, in which case it's a whole different set of regulations. I'm not sure I can answer that question.
In the event that you do have to build the mega house, will it fit on the site that you've left designated for that?
Again, in the absence of survey, I'm guessing, but I think so. We took the footprint of the building that I showed you, which doesn't go up to the mega complex, which is 14 fixtures and a whole bunch for the men. But it's 60% of that, and it does fit. Can I guarantee you that you're not going to be held to that standard? I can't, because the process is an ill-defined one. It's a negotiation. On the other hand, there's lots and lots of precedent for getting 40 to 50% relief in terms of the fixture count from the State Plumbing Board.
Woburn did that. Do you know if Woburn got relief?
Woburn is still in the process, but I believe they will. We just got relief in Winchester. We got relief at King Philip.
So Woburn hasn't put their restroom facilities in yet?
I don't think so.
So they were planning on that for like 2 years now, and they're still in the process of negotiating.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maureen, just to that point, in phase one, we're going to leave the existing concession stand storage building. We're going to leave that.
The proposed, as we see it, again, these aren't designs, but we believe that it fits right here pretty nicely. And it could serve even as a ticket booth and a gateway into the facility. We think that's where it wants to be.
There is a procedural question here.
Yep.
The vote we took was to transfer, well, the football field, not the practice field, and not any other land. So I guess there's a question of how that can be accomplished since we haven't voted to transfer anything. We voted to put the warrant, we still have to take that vote. But the warrant item only specifies the football field. So I don't know what the answer is to that.
The warrant only included the football field because we wanted to make sure that the school meetings during we left the practice field if we needed. But we still can take the materials from there. It's not a state grant at this point. $2 million to get it. So we can take the funds from here, we can put it in the practice field, and we can pick up the practice.
Without transferring it to the campus.
I do. Sure. No, I think we should keep it.
You can have it, but
It's the second part, we would do it.
Okay, all right. That's the measure. Okay.
But I say you can take the money from here.
Take it, okay, all right.
That's $75.
And you won't be looking for grants for up there or anything anyway, right?
We're looking at it.
Right.
We're looking for grants.
Okay. All right. I mean, conceptually, that practice field, having a real field that they could practice on would be a major bonus for
Well, we even spoke to
town.
But the irony is you're going to need less. That's it.
Right, but I just, that field now, I just,
It would probably be used, the way we discussed it, it would probably be used for, we still have some small games that can play in that.
Right.
And even if we can squeak a little bit more space in that, you still may be very well able to play something in the process.
or field hockey.
Of field hockey, actually. When I was a child, I played field hockey.
That team field hockey, we played on that field. What was that, a couple weeks ago, a couple years ago, right?
Yes, sir.
I have a couple questions. The first one is, when you build it, they will come. That's the whole idea, and that's where the revenue will come. But the people come as well. And if it takes a while to get the restroom facility created, will the current facility that we use now be the place where everyone will use the restrooms? And is that going to facilitate the problems that we currently may be having at the high school?
Again, they would only be open for the same things that are open from football players and maybe the locker room and stuff. After that, we would not expect to use the school, stands, you wouldn't be required to do anything with it. You do not want to use the school, because every time you do it, it's going to be $4 fee anyway, $4 fees. That, and, you know, $4 fee. And rec doesn't want to pay that.
Bring back your bathroom doors.
Just like how we're going to do it.
Yes.
I do. Rita, can you help me with this? At Benevento and at Ipswich River Park, you guys have been fundraising for the last couple of years. How much have those bathrooms cost and how many years has it actually taken to raise the money?
So the bathrooms, we're putting them out on the, about $110,000. And we had. No, actually, that was money raised to Raleigh State. Yeah, it was about 3 years worth of wine tasting, golf, and everything. I'd say about 3 years, yeah. But this is not going to be fundraising like the alternative. This year, approaching, you know, bigger businesses are not starting to continue. We're not doing bake sales. We're applying for, at this point, we have about 15 grants in front of us that we're applying for, lacrosse grant, NFL grant, punt, pass, and kick grant, craft grant, soccer grant, urban self-help. Can't guarantee we're getting any of them, but those are things we're doing. We're also looking into some of the big companies that have in the past, you know, spoke to very light, and some of the companies that expressed that they may be willing to, you know, have grants and could get them. So that's all we're doing. We're looking at every single one, handicapped facilities, we're looking at that with beaches, things like that, because now they have the handicapped accessible beaches also.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Bill, do you want to just make a quick mention of the of what could be done perhaps in phase 2, phase 3, or some of the other items? Thank you.
We took a quick and dirty look at what subsequent phases of the project might involve in terms of funding. The amenities building, we find that at public construction, for a wood frame construction, slab on grade, $185 per square foot is about right. We think your building is about a 28 by 48 or 1,344 square feet. We think it's about a $245,000, $250,000 construction. Again, we think that's conservative, depending on how you equip the concessions, depending on the number of fixtures that the state finally agrees to. We've tried to put enough money in the budget so that you've got a realistic number. Spectator seating on the home side, 1,000 seats at about $190 per seat, takes us to about $190,000, plus a pre-engineered press box that has all the amenities that you would want, heat, power, lights, and a 12 to 14 foot hydro lift to the back deck elevation to provide ADA accessibility. All in, we think that's about a $251,000 construction. And finally, athletic lighting. It's probably a 4-pole system, probably 70-foot poles, 20 fixtures per pole. That would give you 50-foot candles waist high midfield, which is adequate for television. And it would be a dual voltage system so that you have probably 35-foot candles during practices and track meets. That, we believe, installed is about a $275,000 amount. Yes, sir.
Getting back to the bathrooms, we had raised the question regarding leach capacity, existing field, how you deal with that? Or not,
I'm sorry, sir, I don't think I understand the question.
leach field associated with the bathroom.
Leach field.
How would you time this bathroom?
I have no idea. Until we do the geotechnical investigation, I've looked at a potential area here that could have a dedicated leach field, but until I do some geotech work, know where the water table is, know what the porosity of the soils is, I have no idea whether that would be big enough. I don't know the fixture count. I don't know. In the number that I've been carried is a reasonable, middle-of-the-road, dedicated leach field facility. I put that building that I showed you out to public bid with its own dedicated leach field under some fairly typical soils. Other alternatives when we get to design that we would look at is the possibility of a tight tank that could be taken away, the possibility of tying into the school system, crafting an argument that says that it's an existing demand that we've relocated elsewhere on the campus. There's lots of things that we can do, and the short answer, sir, is I don't know.
I think, I'm not an engineer of any kind, but I'd be shocked
think, Mike, you've had some preliminary discussions with the,
I've had some further discussions with Mark, third Board of Health. And we can design a conventional septic system here. But instead of actually putting it into a leaching system, put it into an intermediary tank, which will have a pump system on it, and that would pump up into the school system. But before that, we would have a tank maybe that's about 5,000 gallons in size, and we have an alarm system on it, so when it gets up to about 4,000, that it'll set off a silent alarm inside the building. We can call in a septic hauler and pump it out.
for
So
special
that way,
events,
if
that
we were-
may be the way to go.
Right. If we were monitoring it that way, there's a possibility that no effluent would ever go up in the school system.
Thanks.
Lots of options, possibilities. That's not a showstopper. We can solve that problem. Other questions? Tom?
Thanks, Bill.
Yep.
Over the last couple of weeks, there have been some questions raised. We presented this to the selectmen the other evening, and for the benefit of the school committee, we wanted to walk through this very quickly, some of which have been already addressed this evening, some of which have not, but we'll run through the list. I think we've talked a lot about public facilities, so we'll move on to the next, that sideway along the west side. I think it's been determined that there may well be room for a facility or a sidewalk like that, but for the purposes of this particular exercise, it would not be funded by this specific project. Clerk of the Works, that's been brought up. The Turf Committee agrees that we should have someone involved from that standpoint, and that those monies, which I think have been estimated for somewhere around $15,000 or $20,000, we will that is into the budget, and we all feel like this is the most prudent thing to do. Where will the staging area be? That question came up on a couple of occasions. Bill, you want to address that, the thought process around where staging might be?
Again, staging is something that has to be planned, like the septic system. Staging is something that's got to be planned for, but it's not going to be a showstopper. We did 2 projects last summer, inner city Boston, one at the Windsor School and one at Nickerson Field at BU. In both those cases, you had high-rises immediately on the periphery of the field on all 4 sides. The staging area was the field. Is it easy? Does it cost the contractor some money, and is that indicative in the bids? I would assume so. But it's possible. It's not a showstopper. Where your staging area will be could be in your parking, depending on most of the staging area is required late in the project when the rolls of turf and the infill materials show up. Because the stripping and removal of the topsoil, that will be stockpiled and hauled from the field. So the staging area that we need is when school is probably, although this is a fall construction.
Couldn't you use the practice fields as staging?
No, you can't because of the fragility of the vitrified clay pipe. I wouldn't. These are big trucks with heavy loads. That's not going to happen. The short answer is, yes, it's something we have to think about. Yes, there's going to be some give and take in the operation of the campus, but it's not a problem that we can't solve under the worst conditions.
How long? What would the length of time be?
Yep. From the time they break ground, as the Phase 1 project is defined, I believe that it would be a 120-day construction, maybe 160, but probably closer to 120. In fact, I have a schedule.
So we could go down, as you said,
Let's
that's a parking lot.
Let's go over it.
The whole thing, the whole size of the parking lot, or how to get it?
Oh, I think if it could be made available,
Remember Miller Park, which is an eighth of a mile.
that could be a temporary staging area. If we wanted to do something on the campus, and if you could sacrifice, some portion, actually it would be here because the staging route